We are but a few days away from the next Impact pay-per-view, which is of course Bound for Glory. And then we also have Hell in a Cell. There's probably something else I'm forgetting about. There's a UFC show too. If you need content in 2020, combat sports will keep throwing at you like darts. One just goes ping and smacks you straight in the brain, and that's the one you should watch. It also means we get to compare go-home shows, because we did Raw ups and downs, and that was their big woohoo-waha for Hell in a Cell, and now we get to do the same here for Impact Wrestling. So was it any good, or did it suck balls? Let's find out by upping those downs. We kicked things off with our FiveWay that was set up last week between Hernandez, Alicia Edwards, Crazy Steve, Rhino and Heath. And of course the big news here was that whoever scored the win was going to be number 20 in the Call Your Short Battle Royale Gauntlet thingamabob over at Bound for Glory. Is getting it up. There was also the twist that whoever took the pin or submission would have to enter at number 1, and you don't like that. That's like drawing the first card in the Raw Rumble. And the story here is that nobody wanted to touch Alicia Edwards because, you know, she's a woman. They were like, oh, I don't want to do it. Until Hernandez, probably still massively pissed off that everyone had stolen his cash, was like, I'll do it, I'll whoop her ass. So he tried to get involved, but that was stopped by Cousin Jake, which created this environment where Rhino was like, well, I'm going to spear Hernandez, because again, I want some of his money. But Hernandez moved, and he absolutely wrecked Alicia Edwards. I mean, she absolutely took one for the team. Rhino was so shocked by this that he got moved by the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. And he did get rolled up, so now he's going to have to be number 1. This was really short. This told the narrative that it needed to tell. Well, it was quite fun. Had an interview with Moose afterwards as well, and you think that he'd finally be happy because he'd retrieved his TNA title, but no. EC3 has got into his head so much that he was moody, he was miserable, and he basically stormed off here like, I'm really gonna beat him up at the pay-per-view. I was like, Moose, you gotta cheer up. Then it got even worse for Jimmy Jacobs, who was conducting this because EC3's hooded goon people basically stole him and threw him in a van. I mean, what the hell is going on? And then it was time for the latest escapades of the whole Johnny Bravo wedding stuff. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I just can't connect with this. And I try, it's like pin a tail on the donkey, and I open my eyes, and I've stabbed him right in his nose. Down. Bravo was basically mad at everyone because they've completely screwed up his wedding, and he even shouted at Taya Valkyrie here, and he never does that. I just don't understand, why are all these people involved if they don't want to be involved, and why is Jono Bravo telling them to be involved if he doesn't want them to be involved? You just go round and round and round and round like a dog chasing his tail. And look, on the down low, between you and I'm kind of happy that we're going to get the payoff at Bound for Glory, but honestly, we've dedicated so much TV time to this, it's going to have to be the best payoff in history, which it can't be, because you ain't going to top Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. Still makes me cry. We then had a Deonna Purrazzo promo, and I'm going to be honest with you, at first I was like, it's a little bit awkward, because it felt like she was just doing it on her phone in her living room, but then we added in some production, we added in some music, she really found her flow, and got me absolutely pumped for her championship match on Saturday, isn't it? I said Sunday, I meant Saturday up. She feels like Kaylee Ray has got lost in her emotions, and that is why she's going to retain her title, because when Deonna Purrazzo gets in the ring, she keeps her eyes on the prize, which in this case, look at me holding the title, which in this case is kicking Kylie Ray's ass. It was really simple, but I tell you, yeah, by the end of it, it was really effective. She is developing into one of Impact's better performers. And what followed just summed up pro wrestling, in the sense you can have variety, diversity, and just straight up carnage. Because we had Havoc versus Rosemary, with the stipulation being, if Rosemary defeated Havoc, Havoc would have to resurrect the deceased James Mitchell. I mean, you tell me. Go and explain this to someone that doesn't watch sports entertainment and then feed back to me with the results. Once again, this was so short you can't be too mad at it, but I sat there just laughing away because it's so preposterous. A resurrection match. That's what it was. Or a bring them back from the dead match. I want to make it very clear. I respect Impact for doing this massively. If you do come up with these concepts and come up with these ideas, don't be held back because of bald assholes like me. I want you to embrace them and I want you to put them on the screen. Fortunately though, I can't. It's another one. I just can't get into it. It's too ludicrous and it's getting it down. Rosemary won after hitting a couple of spears, and Havoc looked like she just remembered she'd left the milk out all day. She was like, oh no, I can't believe I have to go home and sort that out. And again, I suppose if you want to drop some bucks for the pay-per-view at the weekend, well, you go to get to see a man brought back to life. I'm just the messenger. We then had a video promo for the 4-way tag team match that's going to happen at Bound for Glory, which I am so pumped for. And then we got the rebuttal promo from Kylie Rae, which I also enjoyed. But she made the very good point that Perazzo is walking around calling herself the best technical wrestler ever, which she can't back up because these two have never tangled, so we're going to find out what the deal is when they finally do lock up, and then made sure to let her know all of this was now personal because of what had happened to her best friend Susie. So even though her emotions are running wild, she will still become the women's champion, but even then, that won't be enough. So what the hell is she going to do? Knowing the state of professional wrestling in 2020, she's probably going to try and kill her. And just goes to show as well, you can be the happiest person in the room, which Kylie Rae was, but you get on the wrong side of them, and they will start to lose it. Jimmy Jacobs then arrived in EC3's Fortress of Solitude. I don't know what it was. It was like this weird, creepy, dark room. And EC3 has said that, he'd brought him there because he wanted to be interviewed and he just wanted the nice personal touch you only get with hired goons. Understandably, Jacobs was absolutely terrified, but EC3 had a very specific message. He needs to destroy his own TNA legacy in order to move forward, and that includes taking out the TNA title, and for some reason Moose, even though he respects Moose, but this is just part of the plan. Look, I get very intrigued by all of this, and they are very well shot, but it can kind of feel like a crane just zooms down into your house, picks you up and drops you in a completely different area when you're watching this, because it feels like it's from a completely different show. But look, do I want to see these two tangled? Yes. Do I have any idea who's going to win? No. Do I think there's going to be some kind of massive fallout? That would be the affirmative. So again, I'm invested in this, but I gotta wait and see. I can't give it up and a down until I know. This has been going on for like 72 years. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna be patient, and I have absolutely no idea what Impact's gonna do. Sami Callihan then beat Eddie Edwards after hacking a light switch. I'm not joking. But up. This match had some serious weight behind it because we know the feud that these two have had in the past, but now you've got this new twist that Sami Callihan basically has Ken Shamrock on a leash and will let him go whenever the hell he wants, and you don't want to be messing with flipping Ken Shamrock. So this was like a little tease about what's going to come at Saturday at Bound for Glory, because we're going to get Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock, but it also tied into what Sami Callihan's current character is, and that's what I really liked. You never really get sort of your gimmick being injected into matches before, so when he was having his ass kicked, he got out his phone, he pushed a button, the lights went out, Ken Shamrock was that in the ring, which scared the absolute hoo-ha out of Eddie, allowing Sammy to use the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and get the 1, 2, 3. And of course, because they both were in the ring, they beat Eddie Edwards up. And yeah, sure, it was really goofy, but I thought it was entertaining, as was Ken Shamrock locking in the ankle lock as he was going rah rah. And then Sami Callihan got in Eddie's face and was just shouting, ha ha, you're a moron, you're a moron. Like I say, I am almost undoubtedly sure that Sami Callihan is going to end up getting his. We'll find out at Bound for Glory. We're also going to have our big 6-way X Division match at the pay-per-view, so you know what you have to do here because it's wrestling. You take 3 of the guys and you put them on one side of the ring, and you take the other 3 guys and you put them on the other side of the ring, and you have a 6-man tag. Teddy Long is somewhere smiling, but look, it's good. Up. It's all Trey Miguel, TJP, and Willie Mack taking on Jordine Grace, Rohit Raju, and Chris Bay. And the real dick here was the X Division champion, because not only was he the weak link, but every single time he saw an opportunity to try and steal the pin, he did it, to the point at one point Chris Bay just turned around and said, look, you absolute moron, can you stop this? And of course Rohit went, nah, I'm going to keep doing it. All the flippy dudes then started doing their flippy stuff, and it was absolutely incredible to watch. But what I love most of all is that Jordine Grace here played the powerhouse, and she was throwing around these morons like they were pieces of paper. I mean, she hit one of these spine busters on Willie Mack, and it made me go ooh la lally. Rohit just wouldn't calm down though, so eventually Chris Bay went, you know what, I don't have to deal with this anymore, and he smashed him with a cutter. That's right, he turned on his own partner, and then Trey Miguel was like, well, should I just pin him? And Chris Bay was like, yeah, you should pin him. That didn't happen, I made that bit up, and he did. And Rohit Raju lost, which probably means he's going to win on Sunday, or Saturday. But all of this told a very, very nice story and narrative. And again, what I secretly want to happen is I want Grace to become the new champion, and then I want Tino Dashwood to turn around and go, I'm 2-1 up over you, and then they can have a feud over it. I think that will be different, and I think it will be fun. Another promo package for the main event at Bound for Glory, which of course is going to be Eric Young versus Rich Swann for the world title. And then we had an interview with Eric Young, and he said that he's refound himself, even though he is still batshit crazy. Up. He kept it nice and simple as well, and he said he had made it very clear from the start that people keep getting in his way. If people don't get in his way, he won't have to destroy them, but as they are, this keeps on happening. So why is everyone looking at him like he's responsible? He absolutely isn't, even though he is. I mean, you did break into a doctor's office and kick the crap out of Rich Swann while he was rehabbing. I don't think that is going to hold up in court. But he also said that he now realizes it's not going to stop, so the bodies, quote, the bodies will keep piling up. So bring it down. Haven't seen it for a while. There's the kill 'em counter. It only goes up to number 2. And do you know who both of these are responsible for? Eric Young. Eric Young just wants to kill people in professional wrestling, and given his persona, you wouldn't put it past him. From nowhere, Swann then appeared and absolutely murdered Eric, which was ironic, and this was just a great way to establish that they are gonna go all out when it comes for Bound for Glory this weekend. And also, who the hell wins the championship? Do you want to take it off Eric Young? Do you want to give it to Rich Swann? You could argue it either way. I'm very excited about this. Our main event was also the Good Brothers versus the North. I mean, they could have just looked at each other for 10 minutes and it still would have been somewhat watchable. They didn't do that. It's getting it up. It just played to everybody's strengths and served as a great reminder about some of the action you are going to see at the pay-per-view. And it was also one of these bouts that ended in a no contest that made sense. The only issue I did have with it was the logic behind it. Because at one point, Gallows and Anderson and the North, they were all in the ring and they were fighting. And rather than try and separate them or let them do this, like we have done in professional wrestling since the dawn of time, the referee went, well, I can't really control this. I want to go home and have my dinner. I'm throwing it out, and it was a no contest. Like I say, wrestling across the board has taught us that tag teams are allowed to do this, and all of a sudden we're trying to do a 180, and that doesn't fly. Even a double count-out would have been more appreciated. So for that, it's getting it down. You soon forgot about this with all the fallout though, because the Motor City Machine Guns are out there, Madman Fulton and Ace Austin were out there too, and amazingly, it actually ended with the tag team champions and the Good Brothers cleaning house and then almost shaking hands. I mean, they didn't. Anderson was pretending, and he smashed Alex Shelley with a cutter instead. And even though Chris Sabin tried to get involved, he then got hit with the Magic Killer, so the Good Brothers were standing tall, although really it kind of finished with everybody staring at each other like, oh my gosh, it's finally time to fight. It was already well timed though. It was a nice end to Impact, and like I say, we hit every beat here, so you can invest your money for Bound for Glory, should you so wish, and you know exactly what you're going to see, including, yes, one more time, a resurrection. I don't know how we're going to pull this off, but I shall be watching, and overall, this is getting up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Impact. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you for joining me as always. I will see you throughout the week.